MyMichiganTV.com. My Michigan TV. My.
Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Good morning, Dave Scott right here in Civic Center TV, and welcome to another edition of The Splash. We get together, have our first cup of coffee together on Monday through Friday mornings, and welcome to this Friday. You are watching The Splash Live, part of our 90 minutes of live programming each and every Monday through Friday right here on Civic Center TV. Starts out very local with The Splash, and then Tyler Keefe will step in at 10 o'clock this morning for the Michigan Megacast. Easy to watch these shows all over the internet, all over TV, all over the community. Of course, you can watch on CivicCenterTV.com. You'll find us right there in Comcast at channel 15. You can also watch on CivicCenterTV.com. I meant to say, of course, on cable. Then CivicCenterTV.com. Just go there and watch our live stream. Just go to the live link right in the home page. Of course, we are also on Facebook. So go to Facebook, search for Civic Center TV, and our program will be there, and also on the radio and on YouTube. So Lakes FM 89.3, Lakes FM, where hopefully you are tuning in as you're driving around the West Bloomfield area this morning. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. And then, like I said, we are on YouTube. So plenty of different ways to watch a program, listen to the program, and tune in each and every day. And again, an hour and a half of all just the good stuff, the local programming you're looking for each and every Monday through Friday right here on our various outlets. So start with the weather for today, and we are getting into more of a fall-like pattern. Today, look for partly cloudy skies. High today will be around 59 degrees. Tonight, a little bit of rain is going to move in. It's going to cool down. We'll be down to 42 degrees tonight, and I'm a little worried because that rain is going to sneak in right at the end of our Laker football broadcast. More on that in a minute. Weekend, not so bad, partly cloudy, 55 degrees. Enjoy what you have over the weekend, because as we get into next week, it's really going to cool down, and look for a rainy Monday through Friday next week. So big headline here, usually every Friday morning this time of year, is Laker football. We had a great broadcast last week and a great football game as West Bloomfield handled Oxford very well on the football field. And we were just delighted to be able to bring a broadcast to you that featured the Oxford broadcasters and also our West Bloomfield crew, Tyler and I and the rest of the crew. Tonight, we make our way back on the road as West Bloomfield is taking on Southfield A&T. This is a huge match. Southfield A&T is a great team, loaded with stars. So is our West Bloomfield Laker team. A lot of players on these teams that'll be playing football on Saturdays at some of the major universities, names that you, if you're not already, are going to be very familiar with, and they're coming right from our community. Same thing over in Southfield. They got a great team there. So tonight is a really big test. Probably only got 2 games left of the regular season. Probably the biggest test we have left. A absolute must win tonight for the Lakers if they want to position themselves well for postseason play and a run at the state title, or at least a run deep into the tournament. So monster game, 7 o'clock. Over at Southfield A&T. It's the old Southfield High School after they closed down Lasher. So that's it. Lasher and 10 Mile Road. Yep, had to think about that one for a minute. We will have the game live for you. I do want to be honest and forthright. Bally Sports is going to do a job tonight, and they always do a great job in these games. They will be there covering the game too. So, I hope you tune into our broadcast. Maybe if you tune into Bally, turn the sound down and listen to us. But we are going to have comprehensive video coverage as well as we can do with the limitations. We're not Bally Sports. We're, our community television station, and we have very little room there. But we are going to do the broadcast tonight, and I hope you tune in right there. That's QR code to scan now. Then you can get the game on your computer. But again, you can watch it anywhere. YouTube, the school district's Facebook page, our page right there, that QR code. And of course, listen to it right here on 89.3 Lakes FM and watch it on Civic Center TV. In just a little bit, we're going to check in with head coach Tyrese Grice. He will tell us more about tonight's big contest against Southfield A&T. And we'll hear directly from the coach talking with Tyler Keefe. A couple of other news notes for today. Mark your calendar for Saturday, October 29th. It is DEA National Drug Take Back Day at the West Bloomfield drop-off location. It's happening there from 10 to 2. We're going to talk to Kurt Lawson of the West Bloomfield Police Department here in a couple of minutes. He'll tell us more about it. But really good opportunity if you have some needles or some really old drugs at your home that have expired. We don't want you to flush those anymore, okay? So it's a really good opportunity. See some people from the community and do what we're doing all across the nation here in West Bloomfield. Mark your calendar for Saturday, October 29th, DEA National Drug Take Back Day in West Bloomfield. Another good thing to mark your calendar for is the Big Heroes Breakfast. Now, that's an easy day to remember because that's going to be November 8th, Tuesday. Let's see what's going on. Oh, yeah. That's Election Day. So make sure you join us. We're going to be at the all-new West Bloomfield Middle School. The whole Splash crew, myself, Tyler, and all of our guys are going to be broadcasting live that day from the new West Bloomfield Middle School. And we'll have the whole Heroes Breakfast. It's a salute to those people that have given so much for our country and served in the military. We'll be feeding many of them. You can also join us. Now, if you want to do that, we invite you to register. Go to wbparks.org/heroes.html. And we'll get a link up on the Civic Center TV website for that at some point. But go register for the Heroes Breakfast. You're invited. And if you know someone who is a veteran, we'll serve them for free. So make sure you do it. Get people involved. Let your friends know. Heroes Breakfast, November 8th. Another big thing that we're involved in here at Civic Center TV is we salute the people that served us so well. Friends of the West Bloomfield Public Library are busy this weekend. They got a concert going on. Jim Beiser and the Diamonds in the Rust is part of the Music of Maine concert series. Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library will host this concert for one performance only on Sunday, October 16th. The performance will begin at 3 p.m. with the doors opening at 2:30 p.m. Show will be held under the tents behind the West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation Building at 4640 Walnut Lake Road in West Bloomfield. Limited seating under the tents will be available. It's going to be a little cool, but I think the weather is going to work out okay. You can bring a lawn chair to be assured of comfortable seating. Masks and social distancing are recommended. There's the talent that you're going to see. The concert is absolutely free. So go and enjoy that. And that is October 16th this weekend. Now, not right in West Bloomfield, but I think one of the wonderful resources we have in our area and in Oakland County is the Charles L. Bowers School Farm. And you might have seen it if you're driving on I-75 or Square Lake Road. It's a school farm from the Bloomfield Hills Schools. And they have their big fall festival going on this weekend. In fact, it's happening October 15th. It's fun for the whole family. Join them for a fun-filled weekend of farm activities, food, live music, entertainment, pumpkins, a bounce house, games, crafts, and much more. So that's all going on. By the way, I see a note on here that says there's going to be a beer garden for the adults, all put on by the Friends of Bowers Farm. Really cool place. You see it as you're driving down I-75 south of Square Lake Road on the right-hand side of the road. It's that big hill. They got a farm. There's a lot of really great history there. It's a great place and a fun place to go for a wonderful fall activity. And we hope you check that out and put that on your calendar. All right, so that's what's going on in our area. We're going to take a break. Be back in a couple of minutes. Kurt Lawson joins us, the Deputy Chief of the West Bloomfield Police Department, and we're going to talk about crime in our community and the lack of crime in our community and a whole lot more. Don't go away. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Dave Scott. You are watching The Splash, and we'll be right back.
And now, back to The Splash, live. We'll be right back with The Splash Live. What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast, weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3, and streaming on mymytv.com.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
I'm not hearing any audio if anyone's talking to me.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast, weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3, and streaming on mymytv.com.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Hey, well, welcome back. I hope we got all of our audio sorted out. Even CNN has trouble with audio every once in a while. Dave Scott in our studio. Let's get right to him. Kurt Lawson of the West Bloomfield Police Department. Can you hear me now, Kurt?
I can hear you, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to see you via Zoom and right here on the Splash. I can tell you're in your office working hard this morning at the West Bloomfield Police Department, keeping it safe. Awful good to have you here. And I tell people how lucky I am to be in this community. We got a great community, great people, but all of the leaders in law enforcement and our first responders and our government officials are all really nice people who can communicate pretty well too. So it's really good to have you here. You could be hosting your own television show. Look at you, Kurt Lawson.
Thank you very much. It's
Well,
great to be here.
it's
Absolutely.
Good to have you with us today. A couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, the FBI every year issues crime figures for the entire nation, and we go and analyze that. Here in the state of Michigan, everybody assumes Detroit is the place with the most crime, but that's not true. Saginaw ended up stepping up the ladder. But the other good part of the story is that West Bloomfield and our surrounding communities have some of the lowest crime rates in the nation. And I wanted to have you on here and salute you. And I imagine that is part of the effort of law enforcement, but it's got to be part of a partnership with the community.
Well, first of all, our hats off to our men and women that are out there every single day. They're on the streets. They're going to every single community event that we can to try to bridge that, that partnership that we think is so important. And I think that plays such a role in keeping our crime rate down, whether it's property crime, violent crime. We consistently, over the past 26 years that I've been here, have been in that top maybe 1% of state agencies or state cities that have very low violent crime and property crime. So, but you're right, it's that partnership that we have with our community, that if there is an incident, we're not crime free here, but when there is an incident, the community always steps up. They're willing to talk to us. They're willing to help. And that's what you need to have a successful law enforcement agency, is you need that partnership with your community.
Well, there's no question about it. And, here in West Bloomfield, we're bucking a national trend, because all you got to do is turn on the news and you hear about crime problems in municipalities all over the country. And of course, it may be getting blown up for political reasons right before the election. But we have been seeing crime issues. And here in our community, even as it grows and we see our population growing, we still are one of the safest places to live. And that's because it's got to be because of hard work and everybody caring.
That's exactly true. And you're right. We have seen, especially 2020 was a horrendous year in this country. Obviously, we had COVID. Violent crime went up 30% in urban areas, 20% in rural areas. But really, here in West Bloomfield, we're very fortunate. We really were stable. We didn't see much of an uptick in violent crime or property crime. The one thing that we've seen a little bit of an uptick in the last couple of years, and it kind of goes with what's going on nationally, is we're having a lot of stolen motor vehicles. So, we encourage our residents to make sure that they park their vehicles inside when they can, or properly light your vehicles with lighting at night, or, put a ring camera on your house. That always helps us when we do an investigation.
Well, that is nice. And, I think one of the other things that we hear often from law enforcement and other people is not to leave conspicuous items in your car that might be attractive to somebody. That just is an added incentive, right, for someone to break into your vehicle.
Absolutely. And like you said, this is a very safe community, but there are still individuals that are going out in the neighborhoods night after night, and they're seeing who's going to leave their cars open or what valuables they can see within the car. So if you can do whatever you can on your end to deter them, bring your computer inside, your cell phone. Here's a nice idea. Don't leave your keys in the car. We've seen that several times. That does not help us.
Yeah, the days have changed. I grew up in West Bloomfield, and listen, I grew up on Maple Road. There was no Deerfield subdivision for people that live right in that area. The very few of the subs were here. It was farming community. When I was born 63 years ago here in West Bloomfield, we didn't even have locks on our doors. But it is a different time, and there are a lot more people here. You do need to be careful. So be vigilant, lock your doors, do what you need to do. And I like all of your advice. And just one other final piece of advice, Kurt. I assume it's also important to help the police. If you see something going on, don't be afraid. Pick up the phone and call 911.
Absolutely. The chief says this every time he's in public. If you see something, say something. Let us know. Even if it looks like, oh, it's probably nothing. We would rather come out, investigate it, make sure it is nothing. If you don't call us and it's something big, you're going to have a hard time ever forgiving yourself. So we are willing to come out to any call. We get, 20,000 calls a year here in West Bloomfield where we dispatch our officers. The community, hats off to the community that have invested so much into law enforcement, into public safety. And I think we've seen a great return on their investment.
I saw a note on Facebook this morning. We started to publicize this. October 29th, DEA National Drug Take Back Day. And we're going to be participating in that here in West Bloomfield as well.
Every year it's amazingly successful. I know other agencies, Orchard Lake participates in it as well, but we get pounds and pounds of prescription drugs turned into us. And it's great just to get that out of your house, especially if you have young kids, or if you have someone that's a family member that maybe has an addiction problem. If you're not currently using that medication, or you have old medication, bring it to the West Bloomfield Police Department, bring it to the Orchard Lake Police Department, and we'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, I mean, we used to just flush it down the toilet, but the DEA and police organizations say, don't do that anymore. Believe it or not, it creates a problem for our water systems, and it's not really the right way to get rid of.
Let's go back into our water system. You do have some happy fish here and there, but really, we recommend that you bring it to us or bring it to your local pharmacy to properly dispose of it.
All right. Well, I love the police, but I love Laker football a little bit more. Lakers, Southfield A&T. You got a prediction for the final score tonight, Kurt Lawson?
Well, I'm always going to go with the Lakers. Outstanding team, but I think they're going to win by 14 tonight.
All right, 14 points. Kurt Lawson, good to see you. Thank you for joining us here on The Splash and taking some time with us today. So, speaking of Laker football, Coach Grice, the head coach of the football team, had a chance to spend a few minutes with our own Tyler Keefe, and they talked about that big game tonight and specifically how it's different than it was last year. Let's look in.
Well, they were playing them last year. They were very young. We were young as well, but they were very young. They returned 16 starters from last year's team. So now I think the big difference between last year and this year is maturity, experience, and the fact that the coaches back in their second year as a coaching staff, even though some of them have been there for years. I think that's the big difference. And they have an excellent year. The quarterback over there, Marshall, is having a phenomenal year. He's having a player of the year type season, and we're looking forward to the challenge that he's going to provide for us with our D-backs and our defense as well.
Yeah, really going to be an interesting dynamic there between the Lakers' excellent secondary, a secondary that's been stout over the last several weeks, and this wide receiver core and quarterback combination for the Warriors. Tashi Braceful, definitely the marquee guy there in the receiving core, and Isaiah Marshall, as you mentioned, at quarterback. What about this week in terms of preparation? Is your team focusing on knowing that they have that kind of game in the air, but also as a team that can run the ball really well?
Well, that's what people don't see. Is they see all the passing, the stats, and the highlights, but watching them on film, they run more than you expected. So we're looking forward to seeing that challenge, and we just got to prepare for the passing game and the running game. And I think those two areas, that if we can beat those two areas and the kicking game, we can win this game convincingly. But it's a team that's very competitive. It's going to be it's a rivalry game for us. So they don't like us and we don't like them, but off the field we respect each other, and we look forward because we're friends. They know they players. They play together in youth league, so you see all that rivalry and going at each other, and hopefully we keep it clean. And we want to keep it clean and have fun. And at the end of the day, whatever the outcome is, let's just be fair and let's have a good time with it.
Yeah, these last couple of weeks also really important to get your team ready for playoff time. Every week we mention the competition of the season and getting yourself ready for when it really is important week in and week out to win football games in playoff time. And every single week we go back to, we're taking it week by week. But as you get to the end of the season, you're playing these really competitive games. How important is it for your team to finish strong in these last couple of weeks, not take the foot off the gas in any situation, and be ready to play high level football 100% at 100% every single game, especially as we approach those playoff games?
Well, that's very critical. You want to go in with momentum. And as long as you go in momentum, clicking in all three cylinders, that playoff is going to be, we'll be ready for the playoff because, our league is tough enough. So everybody we play in our league is a competitive game. You're not going to go in and say we're going to blow a team out every week in OAA red. It can go both ways. It can go either or. So we know we're going to be battle tested going to the playoff, but we want to be battle tested, prepared, healthy, which is more important than anything, and be ready for the playoff for that.
And you look at the balance in the competition across the state this year too, and look, no better example than right here in the OAA Red Division. A couple of losses for Clarkston, a loss for West Bloomfield and Rochester Adams as well, and some competitive teams like Lake Orion and Oxford still very interesting in the mix, despite maybe not as favorable of a record as they would hope. And then you think about the playoff time too, and those points, getting those points and trying to collect home field advantage. It's interesting. A few weeks back, I talked to Mick McCabe, longtime Detroit Free Press high school sports writer, particularly in football. And he mentioned that he doesn't really believe there's that much of a benefit to home field advantage in high school football. Do you agree or disagree with that? How important is that home environment to teams to give them just a little bit of an advantage, if any, in these competitive games?
It's always an advantage. It's just how you prepare throughout that day. When you're on the road, you have to, account for the time that you have to just getting on the bus and getting players together, getting all your equipment all put together and loaded on the bus, and that drive time, and it's just the mental aspect of it just changes. And then it's nothing like playing in front of your fans. When you play in front of your fans in your school base, you tend to play a little bit better in terms of individual performance. But I think home field advantage is always a key to throughout the playoff. The first 3 games, you want to win get those home games, and it's nothing like playing in front of your fans.
You talk about this West Bloomfield team, you talk about talent, but now you're looking at this team too and seeing just how deep it is with the performances of guys in second and third strings that are now playing combination of first string and second string ball over the last couple of weeks. Then you think about too, guys that may be coming back from injury soon. Lorenzo Williams has had some injury issues over the last several weeks. We saw Bryce Rowe come back last week. Not an injury situation, but still back in the lineup against Oxford. And then Rick Nance, the big one that is certainly getting the focus for the Lakers at quarterback. If you may, if there's a status update on Rick Nance, when do you expect him to be back into game action?
Well, we hopefully have him back by the first week of the playoffs. He can come back sooner than that, but we're just being safe and making sure that he's mentally ready and physically ready. So it's something that he's ready to come back, but we told him, let's wait, follow doctor's orders, and in the first week of the playoff, he should be ready.
Having those guys return to full strength, getting those lineups back to 100% and still having that depth, what does that bring to your team as you get into playoff time and you're really trying to throw these teams that are always well prepared, definitely talented, and certainly winners off as you're playing them in these competitive games that are win or go home?
Oh, it's win or go home. You hit it right on the button. That's been our message to the players, and that's what playoff football mentality is all about, that you can't make mistakes. Those mistakes can haunt you, and those mistakes can put you back and out the playoff and send you home. Perfect example, last year when we played Rochester Adams, we missed the extra point. How critical that was at the time. So every kick, every field goal, every block, every touchdown, they all have to mean something and account for something, because at the end of the day, those little things come back to haunt you.
All right, Tyrese Grace, head coach of your West Bloomfield Lakers, and Tyler Keefe doing a great job on This Week in Laker Football. You can watch the entire edition of This Week in Laker Football tonight at the beginning of our broadcast. We kick it all off at 6 o'clock with a half-an-hour program, and then Tyler and I will do the pregame show. Going to be a lot of fun tonight. Huge game. Come out to the game, West Bloomfield. Support the Lakers. You only got to drive a couple of miles over to Southfield A&T at Lasher 10 Mile. Don't expect to just walk in. The tickets could be sold out tonight. And the MHSAA, Michigan High School Athletic Association, is urging you to get your tickets in advance. You can go to the Laker Athletic page, get on the internet and Google the right location to go to. Get your tickets. They're only $5, and then come out to the game. And of course, if you can't make it, then we invite you to tune in right here on Civic Center TV, on YouTube, on Facebook, and all of our outlets. We'll have it for you. And then just again, being fair and good to our friends over at Bally Sports, they'll have it as well. And they do an incredible job covering high school athletics, and we salute them and thank them for all the help that they provided to us. So either way, come to the game, tune into Bally, tune into our broadcast tonight. Tyler and I are really looking forward to the broadcast, and it's going to cap off a great Friday. So that's it for me. Enjoy your day today around the greater West Bloomfield area. Have a terrific day. Tyler Keefe will be in here next with the Megacast, a whole another hour of local programming, and we'll see you tonight on Laker football. Make sure you tune in tonight for more exciting Laker football coverage. See you Monday morning, 9:30 here on The Splash.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills, your radio homes for the Megacast. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Keefe. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top article comes from Mark Johnson and Veronica Bolanos at the Lansing State Journal. The president of Michigan State University gave his formal contractually required 90 days of notice of resignation on Thursday, stating his reason for exiting his role after 3 years as being his own lost confidence in the university's board of trustees. Previously, it had been reported that some members of the board had been pressuring Dr. Stanley to resign at the threat of being fired for cause, which would cost him his remaining salary, something that he can still receive in this scenario after his resignation for the next 3 months, a total of just under $250,000. The lack of confidence in the MSU trustees doesn't just come from the president's office. Earlier this week, the university's faculty senate voted in favor of a no confidence vote in the board of trustees by a vote of 55-4. Additionally, the Associated Students of MSU or ASMSU, they also voted a no confidence in the board as well and released a statement over social media earlier on this week in that regard as well. You can read that on their social media. Just search for Associated Students of Michigan State University or ASMSU. All of these issues stem back from President Stanley's handling of another person's resignation, that being Sanjay Gupta from the Broad School of Business, claiming that Gupta mishandled reporting of sexual misconduct per the university's Title IX policies. This is the third consecutive Michigan State University president to leave under controversy, with President Stanley's predecessor and former Michigan Governor John Engler resigning his interim position following inappropriate comments that he made toward victims of the Larry Nassar sexual assault scandal. And of course, before former interim president Engler. It was Luana K. Simon resigning after her complete mishandling of the Nassar sexual assault scandal over several years, as it was found leaving in disgrace. Also making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Paul Egan at the Detroit Free Press. Last night's debate between Governor Gretchen Whitmer and GOP challenger Tudor Dixon occurred in Grand Rapids, went off without a hitch, and yet was still quite tough to find here on local channels in our main broadcast area around Oakland County and southeastern Michigan. So here are some key takeaways from Egan on what he saw and other experts saw at that first debate hosted by Wood TV 8 in Grand Rapids. Experts are saying there was nothing that was said or debated that was really all that groundbreaking in the race, with both candidates equally pointed and matter of fact in their policy ideals. Tudor Dixon did not backtrack from her anti-abortion policies, which had received quite a lot of flack, especially in attack ads, but did add that she does not intend to criminalize abortion should she become a governor, something that was previously up for debate, especially considering her past recognition and praise for Michigan's previous law about abortion, that 1931 law that received a stay following the repeal of Roe versus Wade in an additional Supreme Court case at the U.S. level. Overall, it was a debate of plenty of energy and zingers to go around from both candidates, but surprisingly not undercutting and personal, as we often see in these tight races this close to Election Day. The next debate, of course, is in Oakland County and will be viewable on your local channels here in southeastern Michigan. That is October 25th at the Oakland Center at Oakland University. That is co-hosted by WXYZ TV or Channel 7 in Detroit and Oakland University's Center for Civic Engagement. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Brianna Noble at the Detroit News. A 14-year-old Oxford boy was detained by Oakland County sheriffs at his home after allegedly making social media threats that included handguns and anti-Semitic statements. This arrest was the third of its kind in just about a week for the sheriff's office. The 14-year-old is currently being held at Oakland County's Children's Village following juvenile court placement approving that location for his detainment. In a statement, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said, quote, "As I have repeatedly said, we will fully investigate every threat against any person, school, or institution and seek to hold those that make threats accountable. If you make a threat, we are coming for you. And that's not a threat. That's a promise," and closed quote. All those headlines are on our website, CivicCenterTV.com, on our local news page, as well as all of our headlines from throughout this week, and links, of course, to COVID-19 information and updates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Friday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk parenting and education with Forrest Levy Wolf from the Teaching Circle. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations all across the Great Lakes state, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now on the Megacast is Forrest Levy Wolf. She is the founder of the Teaching Circle and joins us now. She's also been working with families and children for over 25 years, and she'll tell us about her project now. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, give us some background. Tell us about the Teaching Circle, what services you provide, and how you got to this point to be running this organization.
So as you said, I've worked with kids for over 25 years, and I started my own business back in January, and I knew kids needed programs. I knew they needed support, but I soon realized that parents needed support too. And so some of the programs I'm running now are for parents only. Some are for their children. And, I think we all work together to be successful within our families.
More information, of course, can be found on teachingcircle.org. That's teachingcircle.org. So your teaching background is in some pretty specialized areas as well. Tell us about your teaching background and how that has helped to inform you in running the Teaching Circle, both on the angle of what the kids need in today's modern education landscape, but also what the parents need too.
So about 25 years ago, I started at the School of Education at University of Texas. It was a great program, and I focused mostly on family programs. And at the time, I was running after-school programs and camps. Before that, I was working in a special education classroom where I think I was learning more than I was teaching. I worked with kids with all different kinds of abilities. It was a life skills classrooms, and there were times where I would be one-on-one with different children wherever they were needed. And I loved it. And I have really always stuck to that very first teaching opportunity and encouraged inclusion in all my programs. So as I was working, I began being promoted and became a support to my staff. And immediately I realized, okay, what I need to do with them most is help them work with their kids. They were getting hung up on behavioral issues. And there was a program at the time called Love and Logic. They were teaching it through the School of Education. And I brought it into my after-school program. And it was really effective. And so throughout my opportunities to be a director of camps and after-school programs. That's how I was actually also brought to Michigan, running camps here where I had about 200 staff. If I wanted to get my work done, I had to have my staff ready to take on their own children. And so teaching that has been part of all of my career. I've worked in early education, been a director in that program as well. And when I started my own programs this January, I had a mom say to me, "I don't know what to do with my kid. Can you help me?" And I said, "Yeah, actually I can. I've done that a lot." And I started working with parents as a parenting coach on helping them with their children. And this mom came back to me and she said, "I like my kid again." And that felt so good and so important. And so that started the part of the business where I work specifically with parents, sometimes in group classes, but also one-on-one as well.
You can contact Forrest and her team at teachingcircle.org or by calling 248-990-5555. That's 248-990-5555 for more information. So tell us about some of these programs that you do have that help both the kids and the parents. What are some of the examples of some of these commonly frequented programs and how they help these individuals in all different areas, education and beyond?
On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I run a preschool from my home with a couple of the teachers that I have been working with for years. And we noticed with the pandemic, there was a lot of issues with speech. And because the kids were home, they were missing some development that they would have gotten in a classroom setting. And it showed up now, our kids are behind. And so what we realized is if we were to do this on our own, we would be able to address those issues right away. So the teachers that I work with, we all have degrees and a lot of experience. We're working with our preschoolers on speech, on counting, some of it socialization, things that they're not able to get at home. That's something I'm really proud of, and really proud of my teachers that I work with. We also do break camps. So when school's out of session, we run those here as well. We have a limited number of spaces, but we love filling them. And we offer this great day of fun as far as the kids know. They're just here for camp, but we're sneaking in learning and education every moment.
We're joined by Forrest Levy Wolf, the founder of Teaching Circle, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. Again, their website, teachingcircle.org. That's teachingcircle.org. And I hear it all the time. I got a lot of educators in my family. And so often what I hear from them is if they had one wish they could grant in their career, it's that, I wish that parents would take more of a driving role in their kids' education, because they come to my class every day, they come to school every day, and then it seems like they go home and there doesn't seem to be that continued education there. And that's so critical to a fruitful education for kids, but also for those relationships between parents and kids. And so we've heard so much about the issues that and the challenges that educators and certainly students have had to go through over the last couple of years to continue education at a high rate here in Michigan and all throughout the U.S. and the world. What are some of those issues you're seeing come up with parents, and how are you helping to address that to help them do what they can best do for their kids, but also for themselves in this really tough time it continues to be to teach kids?
Yeah, I think you're saying the right stuff. This has been such a tough time on these parents. I don't think people understand that parents who have just had these babies during the pandemic, they weren't afforded the support that most of us had when our kids were growing up. They couldn't escape to Target and have that learning opportunity with their children. They really had to hunker down, and it was a lot of pressure on them, and they're still, feeling it. I'm finding that the parents, they're eager to get their kids caught up, whether it's speech, whether it's emotional, physical, they really want to get their kids caught up. And that is what I'm seeing from the parents who come to me. They're also doing so much more at home that they need this parenting support. They didn't go to the school of education, possibly, and they want to be effective with their parenting. They haven't learned the tools. And so we've been able to give those tools to the parents. We're able to catch these children up, which is so incredible. Yesterday, this is the smallest thing, but I had a little girl throw her own plate away, and her face lit up with true confidence that she could do it herself. And so even it's sometimes the smallest things like that. And then sometimes it's been getting someone to say their first word when they're almost 3 years old. So it's across the board, and individually, each person is needing something different.
You can get in contact with Forrest and her team at the Teaching Circle by visiting teachingcircle.org or calling 248-990-5555. 248-990-5555. Just another couple minutes with you, Forrest. Anything else that we should know at this time, or that parents should keep in mind if they're interested in your services, or really just in general as they continue to interact with their kids and certainly with their kids' teachers now that things are a little bit back to normal? But of course, when anything changes, even going back to more normalcy, there's going to be some growing pains.
Yeah, at this point, school has started. We're in it. If you are worried if your child is behind, they probably are. So reach out, get them the resources that they need. I know people who are having a difficult time with their children. I'll just give a quick tip. Most of the time, they're having issues in a power struggle. And so sometimes it's a shift of, instead of getting in a power struggle with this child that you love so much, you start to empathize with them. And you say to them, it seems like you're having such a hard time, which doesn't always feel right, because when they're sitting in a room filled with toys that you purchased them, it's hard to imagine they don't have enough to do, or they're really having a hard time, but they are. And that's sometimes what they're just saying, and acknowledging it can let them know immediately that you're on their side.
Forrest, we appreciate you telling us more about this and some great work that you're doing with parents and with kids alike, because that relationship between parents and their kids is so critical in education. And certainly all that goes back to help our very hardworking educators all across our local area. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
TeachingCircle.org is the website. 248-990-5555 is the phone number. We'll take a break. On the other side, Michael Greiner from Oakland University will join us as GM goes toe-to-toe with Tesla on the electric vehicle market. And some experts are arguing that maybe the Federal Reserve is moving too quickly, raising interest rates to combat inflation. We'll debate all that next with Michael right here on the Megacast.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations on TV, radio, and the web all across Michigan, and find our full episodes and each individual interview segment on demand. as well. Joining us now is an assistant professor of management at Oakland University's School of Business Administration. It's Michael Greiner back with us for his weekly segment as we talk about the U.S. economy, business, and more. Michael, thanks for being with us today.
Great to be back, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So let's start off right here in the Motor City with some automotive news. Really, we're seeing GM expanding beyond just the simple car making, both in internal combustion engine vehicles as well as electric vehicles, but really into the full scope of what it takes to run electric vehicles and the infrastructure that comes along with it, making GM really that first of the big three, the big automakers, to go on the offensive and try to compete with Tesla. Just how big of a move is GM making, and can they compete with Tesla with the momentum that business already has in this market?
Yeah, this is a huge move by GM, and frankly, it's kind of a good news story, which is nice to see in this day and age, because it shows that GM really is looking at the long run here, and they're viewing the shift into kind of new energy sources being an opportunity as opposed to something that's a threat, which is how a lot of the older businesses have viewed it. And really it is. I mean, there's this whole new area that businesses can get involved in. And GM's viewing this, where you can get involved in the process of collecting energy through solar panels and through windmills and that type of thing, and then storing it and making it available either for your use, say for if you have an electric vehicle, or for your home if you, for example, have a power outage, but also being able potentially to sell back some of that power to the grid, which then makes it so that we have access to essentially 24 hours, 7-day-a-week power, even though, say the sun isn't out all at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the wind isn't blowing at all times. So it's a great opportunity. GM views this as a huge market, potentially as much as $200 billion per year. And right now, Tesla is really the only player in this market who've been getting involved in it. And the key issue here is the progress that has been made in developing batteries. And GM actually has been working at this for quite some time. They've been focused on improving battery technology now for, well over 30 years at this point. And as a result, they've got market-leading technology. They're also one of the only automakers, aside from Tesla, who've been really successful globally in selling electric vehicles. Sometimes we forget about them, but they actually produce a lot of electric vehicles. And they've made a commitment that I believe by 2035 that their entire lineup is going to be electric. So they're going in with both feet into the new energy economy, and they view it as a great opportunity. And I think that it just shows that here in Detroit, we're going to be right at the cutting edge going forward. So I think that's exciting.
We know GM has plans to build new electric battery factories right here in Michigan in the very near future, and to continue to build that infrastructure right here in Michigan as they've built their business in Michigan over the duration of its existence. That being said, with the energy generation and storage business on that side, which GM's also trying to get into and is working on getting in, further into that market and competing with Tesla. Tesla has a 7-year jump on them in that regard. So just how much momentum does GM really need getting this off and running to really be able to compete with Tesla that has that big of a jump already in time? And really at this time, just how successful has Tesla really even been with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I count myself a little bit among the skeptics of Tesla, frankly. I think that Tesla is a great story and everybody loves Elon Musk. He's always good news or newsprint, I guess, always makes for good quotes. But the reality is that Tesla actually doesn't really make any money. And they've been losing money in the energy storage and management business. So GM, you have to remember, they have certain areas of expertise that they're very good at, that Tesla, frankly, has yet to really master. GM, for example, has a real expertise in manufacturing, and nobody can dispute that. And they've been developing this now for well over 100 years. Tesla is still trying to figure that out. And as a result, their cars, frankly, are not particularly reliable. In fact, one of the big surprises was after Consumer Reports initially being very enthusiastic about the Tesla vehicles. Since then, they've really become quite down on them, instead preferring vehicles, in some cases, by GM, actually, which have proven to be both efficient and actually reliable. I think that in some respects, Tesla, because they're so good at PR and so good at generating headlines, they've gotten kind of a pass, and they're valued much higher than really they deserve when you look at the fundamentals of the business in some ways. And GM, in some respects, I think is undervalued because of the fact that they do have good leadership right now that is really focused on the long term. They have really gone full bore with the energy transmission and with the new energy economy, and they've shown that they're capable of doing it. And so I think that that they've really got a great opportunity. And frankly, I would not be surprised if we see them overtaking Tesla in the not too distant future in this area.
We're joined by Michael Greiner, Assistant Professor of Management at Oakland University's School of Business and Administration, on today's edition of the Megacast. Of course, you can learn more about Oakland University programs by visiting oakland.edu. Oakland.edu is their website. Across the world in Great Britain, some issues going on now as they're heading what looks like potentially to a full-scale financial meltdown. They're having some issues in Great Britain, very similar to what we had here in the U.S. back in 2008 before the housing bubble burst. And that's really concerning for us here in the U.S., particularly because of the U.S. bond market. How can what's going on over in Britain be having such a big effect on the bond market here in America?
Yeah, that's a great question, and this is a huge story. And it really speaks to a couple things. Number one is just the interconnectedness of the global economy at this point. And this is really kind of a cautionary tale in some ways. I mean, on one hand, it speaks to the kind of economic uncertainty that we're dealing with right now with inflation and increasing interest rates. But also, there were some bad moves made by the incoming British administration. They just elected basically a new prime minister over there to replace Boris Johnson, Liz Truss. And since she's taken over, she's made some announcements that frankly have spooked the markets to the extent that basically she just today announced that they had to fire their Treasury Secretary, essentially. They're the equivalent of what they of their Treasury Secretary. They call him the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And she's essentially had to backtrack on a lot of the plans that she had earlier announced. And what it has to do with is the fact that Britain is like the United States, they